Hello, this is Adam Henderson. Just got back home from WordCup. I'm back in Seattle area. I've got some great games to show you guys. I've got 30 of them. Um, may not get to all 30, but I would say overall the tournament was a success. I got most of my goals accomplished. I didn't really have, to be honest, I didn't really have goals as far as like number of wins. I did have kind of like a base goal to at least win 12 games, but that was based on thinking that I would play more of the top players than I actually ended up playing. So I went 14 and 16, which it's both good and bad. It's good in that I didn't just crumble and die in Division One. I was able to almost win half of my games, but it's also bad because if I'm going to be honest, I was hoping to do better. Um, but I mean, it's fine. If I wasn't a little bit disappointed, I'd probably not be a strong player. So um, it is what it is. What else did I accomplish? So I avoided having a disastrous tournament, which was when I was first flying there. I was like, "What am I getting myself into?" I'm spending $2,000 on this tournament, and there was a rough first day. I went 2-5, and I kind of had the same feeling like, "Why did I spend $2,000 on this tournament?" But it ended up being okay overall. But most importantly, I got some really good practice playing the top players. You don't really get a chance to play this strong of players, especially locally. I mean, all of these people came from places where they were likely one of the top players, if not the top player, were in their local area. And that situation is the same for me. I do have some strong players I can play against and practice over the board, which practicing over the board, by the way, there's no substitute for that. Woogles is great, but it's if you can get out to clubs and play people of your own strength, or even maybe just a little bit below your own strength, it's definitely good practice for playing in a national tournament like WordCup. Um, Also went right was I was able to get picture of all of these games for you, so I should be able to bring you some high level Scrabble and analyze some high level Scrabble, even if it's not the highest level. I do feel like the Division One was divided into kind of two different sections: the top players and then the not top players. And I was in the not top players section. So I got to play maybe two of the top players in the field, and the rest of them I missed because they were all playing each other. Um, the last thing is I did have a vacation. It didn't feel like a vacation sometimes because I did get sick. That was part of what went wrong. Is I got cold on the third day. Partially my fault. I should have been wearing a mask the entire time. I did start wearing a mask after the first day, and partially in the second day I started wearing a mask. But by the third day, I'd already gotten sick, and I wore masks for the rest of the tournament, and I actually ran out of masks. So that's something for you guys to know. Bring masks, wear masks. We were very close together. It was for the number of people that were, they fit all four NWL and both of the Collins divisions all in one room. We were very close together. We were like back to back because the tables were so close. It wasn't good for not catching communal diseases. I think there was a few jokes about that on Facebook. Uh, the only other thing if I hadn't mentioned it already, I did miss playing some of the top players. I wanted to play Kenji. I wanted to play Jackson. I wanted to play um, Joey, Kraftchick. There's probably a few others that were in the top players that I just did not get to play. That I'm not thinking of. Oh, Nigel, I didn't get to play Nigel. So that kind of sucked. I did obviously play a lot of strong players anyway. So that kind of ends my like overall post-mortem. I'm going to take a short break before diving into the first game of the tournament, which was against this very strong player. You can see his peak rating was 1958. Current rating is 1827. Let me see what his WePo rating is. It's always interesting to see if their rating is significantly different, because this was a WePo tournament, but NASPA rating, he's over 1800. Trip Payne. And none of these people were a pain to be with. So yeah, very strong player, almost 1900. None of these players gave me a hard time. All of these players were friendly, which was a little bit surprising that there wasn't anybody that I felt like was really kind of not very nice. Usually you'd think that at this level there might be somebody that's a little bit rude or a little bit abrasive. I can't think of anybody that was actually like that at this tournament that I played. So kudos to the Scrabble community for just being generally nice people. There were a few people that didn't really talk too much and were pretty serious, but I don't count that as being rude or abrasive. That's just normal. All right, I'm gonna take a short break now. The type of thing I was gonna watch out for was like anybody that actually said something that was meant to throw me off in the game, like during the game. There was one particular game that stands out that maybe it was a little bit of a coffee house, but it's not something I'm gonna even mention because it was against someone I consider a friend, and I wouldn't be surprised that he would be watching my video. So not going to mention it, but yeah, like I guess since I'm not probably going to mention it during the actual game that I'm thinking of, there was one or two players, probably two, where they would make a play and they would say something immediately after, like, "Oh, I found it," or "Oh, there it is," or something like that. And they would make a play that was completely phony. Psychologically, when they said that, I thought, oh, that must mean that he's sure that the play is good when he says there it is. But the play ended up being completely phony. And so if your opponent says anything after making a bingo, just try to ignore it, because it doesn't necessarily mean it's invalid either. So don't take it as it being suspicious, but just try to ignore it. It is kind of irritating for somebody to say that during the game, and I would say try to caution people after playing a bingo to just not saying anything is probably the best thing to do, because it is kind of annoying to have your opponent say something, because whatever they say, it doesn't matter. You have to decide for yourself whether the bingo is valid or not, and those are the toughest ones as far as challenge decisions, because most people at this level have got all their 2 through 5 letter words pretty solid, particularly the 2 to 4 letter range. All right, I think I'm ready to start this game now. Oh, there's a guy named Kay Schwartz that plays on Woogles a lot, and there was a guy named Schwartzman who I hadn't met before this tournament. Kay Schwartz is not the Schwartzman guy. I forget his first name. Let me look at Schwartzman. Look up his name. That guy was an interesting guy. I will show you. How do I spell Schwartz? I don't know how to spell Schwartz. S-C-H? Okay. So his name was Peter Schwartzman. Yeah. Very strong. You can see he's over 1800. Huge guy. big muscles. He even talked about, like, because we played some after hours games. He even talked about going to the gym. Definitely, it's an advantage to have be a little bit ripped in these tournaments because it's good to have confidence going against the best players. But he was a nice guy. But he is not this guy here. Uh, Peter and some other people that were nearby, we were talking about this guy. This guy here is a little bit of a jerk, this K. Schwartz guy. So if you see him on Woogles, just you can still play him. He's over 2,000. You get some good games. I'm not sure if he cheats or not, but he is a little of a dick. Just but I just wanted to clarify that Peter Schwartzman is not this guy. But anyway, I've stalled longer than I had meant to. Let's get into this first game. So I went first. I was paired against Trip Payne. Never played Trip Payne before. He seemed like a nice guy, but I didn't really get to know him. A lot of these Division 1 types, they're very sharp, but they're generally friendly, not assholes. All right, so let's see. So the first rack I had in this game, I had boat plus what looks like, yeah, 2 E's and an A. I don't think boat E is a word. No, boat E. I was wondering if that was a word. I was pretty sure it wasn't. I'm right. So I couldn't play boat E. Maybe if it was a word, that would have been a good play. I settled here with OBE, and I will. All right, 1 second. Yeah, I mean, I'm almost 100% sure I played it there. I did check. I am 100% sure because I checked the photo I took. I was able to take photos of all 30 of my games, so that is a win. Probably not going to review all 30 of them. There was at least 1 or 2 that were complete blowouts from the very beginning. But I will, any game that wasn't a blowout from the very beginning, I'll at least analyze partial. All right, so yep, that was that. And the game was afoot after he plays Gripped. And I was very happy to see that I could play a nice bingo on my second move, which was Ablegate. And that apparently is not a word. Ablegate is a word, but it's not showing up here. So I'm not sure why Ablegate is not showing up as an option here. That is interesting. But I also missed Galatea, which would have been better than Ablegate, I guess. But I saw Ablegate. This is a kind of a, oh, my bad. I wrote down the. I didn't miss it. Ablegate. All right. I just wrote down my rack wrong. So Ablegate comes down. Very happy to see and play this play. I have an early lead, but he plays Verism. Makes a lot of sense for him to play that. And let's see, what do I have next? I have 2 R's, it looks like, and a D, D-O-R-R. But I did draw the X. So, did I play Docs here? Yep, I did play Docs. So, Docs comes down, pretty normal play. Don't really have to think too much about these plays. on my end so far. I think I was doing well on time. He was probably taking more time on his end, which is always really important to have a time advantage. So I did not have, oh, I had from here. And what did I go? I decided to go with fro here because I liked the M and I wanted to, I guess, I wanted to create a lane for myself. I don't know, this was a bad play. I should have just played from. I just wanted to be tricky and show that I knew the O hook, but of course he knew the O hook as well, so that was a bad play. I should have just played from there. He plays land, so he must be struggling with bad racks, I'm guessing. And I have what looks like a promising rack, but I don't think there's any bingo in here. Oh, I did write down rompers, but I wasn't sure enough to play it. So I just played prom instead. He plays fund, F-U-N-N-D, which I held the play. It scored only 11 points. So when you have a play that you think might be phony, that only scores 11, general rule of thumb in Division 1 is just not to challenge it. That's what I did, was I let him get away. We will find out whether this play is phony or not, and it is not phony. So I'm wondering, is this word new? No, it's just a normal word, I guess, but it looks awful. But yeah, he plays fund. Opening up the board and trying to get me to challenge, which I didn't take the bait. Of course I didn't. Why would I do that when I'm up 174 to 121 and it's my turn? It just makes no sense. So I wouldn't I wouldn't throw the game away challenging fund, even though it looked weird. So J-E-S-C-A-R-T is my next rack. Of course I play Taj. It's a very easy thing to find, and it leaves an excellent leave. C-E-R-S is excellent. And then he plays N-E-E. That comes down. And then I have discern. Oh, I actually had this rack. Let's see if there's any. Yeah. I decided to just play discern here. There's 2 blanks out. This also blocks a lot of the lanes that were created by fund, leaving only the F lane and the K column for bingos, which I thought was pretty good. And it tries to get at some of those blanks, basically turning over 6 tiles. I think this is a good play. He plays Odia, which I'm happy to see. He doesn't have any really high scoring plays. I did manage to pick up a blank, and then after Ignatia, which I played for 66, not for 75, because I missed all of the overlaps. The game's pretty much over. I should have played it in the other spot for a lot more points, though, so that was a big miss. So he plays Vac. The rest of this game I'll just go through quickly. The queens. And here he does come back a little bit. He has Aliast, DBLY plus ZIT. Of course I play Zit. Very easy to find. he was not amused by this play. Then he plays a natural hockeys, which scores 108. And I held the play. It wasn't a word that I was like 100% sure I held it, but it wasn't. I think eventually I somewhere in my mind I eventually vaguely remember seeing the word somewhere, which gave me enough confidence not to challenge it. But also, this was a point of the game where I could possibly just lose the game if I challenge it and I'm wrong, but I win the game if I don't challenge it every time. But I was a little bit annoyed because he blocked my bingo of audibly, but I could still play ably here. I'm sure I had better plays, but it's not really important. Really, the only thing that's important for me in this particular tournament, because I knew I wasn't gonna like place in the high enough to win any money, was to just win games as much as possible. So that's what I managed to do in this one. And he plays Ho to go out. And so I win the game, my first game of the tournament, 438 to 386. I was really happy to have this first game be a win. It felt amazing. And so that was a really great way to start the tournament, especially against a strong player like Tripp. My next game, I was paired against Rafi Stern. That did not go as well as this one, as you'll see. It's like I'm at 21 minutes, so I'll stop this video here, and I'll make a separate video for the Rafi Stern game.